guys, let's go over this build real quick. I'm really liking it because number one, it doesn't use minions. Number two, it uses Sever. And number three, it's melee. It's not technically completely melee because Sever, you can kind of throw it across the world, but it does stop the moment it hits something. But regardless, I'm really enjoying this build. It's not your typical build. Sever was hands down my favorite skill from Necro's tree, hands down, since the original beta test. And I was just kind of disappointed that we couldn't really find anything to make it work. Now, I think I stumbled across something. This is kind of like the beginnings of this build, but we've got Reap here, okay, mainly for Acolyte's Reap, which gives us that on-demand corpse every 5 seconds. You don't actually use Reap too much in this build because we have a lot of uptime with our essence due to corpse explosion, which I'll tell you in a bit. Sever is considered shadow damage, and we take enhanced Sever into paranormal Sever. The vulnerable after every 4th is nice. I honestly don't know why Sever doesn't have on-demand vulnerable when Bone Spear does. To be perfectly honest, Bone Spear is a very, very good skill, and I don't know. It just, to me, I feel like Sever should have that too, or at least every for 3 seconds, just like Bone Spear. Bone Spear has it for 3 seconds, or maybe the second cast, third cast, just a little bit better than 4th and 2, right? But regardless, the Vuln is nice, and then we pick up the corpse explosion into blighted. Now this is going to put a big shadow blight field thing that's on the ground that's very similar to blight here. And no, the damage does not scale off of blight. We actually tested it. It just scales off the corpse explosion skill points that you have here. So essentially what you do is when you have these corpse, you're just constantly exploding them into the blighted corpse explosion, and this damage actually stacks, and each tick starts hitting harder and harder and harder and harder for every corpse explosion you perform. Now the reason why this works really well is because a lot of your damage is obviously coming from Sever, but when you burn your entire essence pool, we take Grim Harvest, which generates us a lot of essence when we're done with it. So you constantly have this uptime. You go up, you Sever, you burn your Sever, you've got these blighted pools from your corpse explosion, you blow them up, and every time you blow them up, not only are you obviously dealing damage from corpse explosion, you're also refilling your essence bar via Grim Harvest, allowing you to go right back into Sever just immediately, right? So they kind of synergize pretty well. And then we take Iron Maiden here, which we take all the way to Abhorrent. This gives us a little bit more sustain. Every target that you kill within your Iron Maiden, you heal for 5%, and this all kind of works because you're always trying to put your Iron Maiden on top of your blighted pools anyway from Corpse Explosion, and it just really works. Not to mention Sever's legendary aspect that we know of also gives you the ability to spawn additional blighted pools from every cast of Sever. I think there's like a percentage chance for it. Let me check. Yeah, there we go. Aspect of Empowering Reaper. Critical strikes from Sever have a 10% chance to spawn a pool of blight under the target that deals 20% bonus damage. This effect can only happen once every 3 seconds. And apparently you can get that at Skull's Glen. Now, obviously, this is just for level 20. You're going to want to take this a little bit further, but there are some nice additions to the shadow damage, like this cluster right here that all synergizes pretty well with shadow damage. This right here also works pretty well. Every time you form a corpse, you get 2% fortify. That also works really well with Abhorrent Iron Maiden because you're already getting 5% from the enemies that die within your Iron Maiden, right? So that just works out pretty well. Obviously, I would take Blood Mist. We don't have enough skill points, and we've got 2 slots here to flex, and you could just kind of take that build wherever you go. But I'm pretty excited about this build because it looks really good. It's super fun to play. It's extremely good for dungeon clearing, really good for leveling. However, the issue that it's having right now, granted it's only level 20, is the single target damage, because obviously you're utilizing a lot of corpses, which you're not going to get in the majority of your single target fights. So whatever you could do to remedy that situation for the end game, you know, we're just gonna have to see what's out there with the legendaries and the Paragon board and all that stuff. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Super strong with dungeon clear leveling. Not super strong with single target, but really, really fun to play. I almost forgot. Book of the Dead, we're sacrificing these. The Reaper here, it gives us 15% increased shadow damage, which is all of our damage. This is a nice little boost. Not to mention, you can obviously boost this later in the game through your skills and just things that get unlocked as you continue progressing. The mages, right now we're taking vulnerable at 15% extra vulnerable damage. This isn't like the absolute best. We do have guaranteed vulnerable application from our Sever, but it's not like there's not like super high uptime on it, right? Because it is every 4th cast for 2 seconds, so it's not like the best. So there's a little bit of room for improvement, I feel like, with this section, even considering maybe taking the mages. But to be perfectly honest, I don't recommend taking mages with the direction of this build, because you just want to constantly put out more blighted corpse explosions, because every single one you explode, you're just going to be ticking for more and more damage. I'll show you an example here. I'm going to just burn a little bit of mana first. So we're just going to burn all this here. For full essence, I deliberately just popped all of those for you to kind of show you how much damage that's ticking for. So we're just gonna pop one. You can see it hits for 27 per ish. We pop multiple and that number just continually goes up. We're gonna put an Iron Maiden down here, which is gonna keep us up when these smaller minions die. All the minions are dead. But obviously that's not the ideal rotation, but I just to show you guys how much damage, extra damage it's ticking for per. I mean, it's pretty damn good. So I highly suggest not taking any extra minions, because you want that extra damage. And even in between, if you want to top up your essence, you can do so. Just explode them and then you get your essence back. Obviously, late game, if essence is not an issue, then you're not going to need to take the passive that gives you the essence back. But for the early game, it's super nice. Really, really nice. It feels kind of like the shadow imbuement, consuming shadows for rogue when it comes to this. We're going to burn our essence here, out of essence, and then we're just going to continue to put more blighted corpse explosions down. Put our Iron Maiden down here. Not going to take any damage. Well, we're going to take damage, but we're going to just stay topped up because they're dying. We're going to kind of group these guys up. Bring these guys to the elite here. Put an Iron Maiden down. Sever. Clean that up. Use the blight. Just sever like crazy. And then we're going to get our essence back by blowing this shit up. If they're elites that were alive. Here we go. He's alive. We've got our essence back up as we blow that up. And bam. Easy peasy. The Iron Maiden also heals us, so we can kind of sit and shit too. I just love Sever, man. Sever is just such a great skill. The only thing that I don't like about this build is when you have all these little blighted corpse explosions down. Dude, it gets so dark. You can't see anything. All right, next pack. Yeah, these guys right here. That little mage, not the best. This is really good for like melee, melee enemies. Really, really good because they all just come into your blighted corpse explosion. We're gonna pull some of these guys into a bigger pack here. Looking for an elite. There's one. Iron Maiden down. Couple casts of Sever. Corpse explosion. Get the essence back. More Severs. Corpse explosion. Get more of that essence back. And then rinse and repeat. Make sure your Iron Maiden is up. There we go. Iron Maiden's going to keep us alive here. Light here. Lighted corpse explosion. Oh, kind of overkilled it here.